no more complaining people. Their lives are changing. We're flying high, creating a complaint-free world. No more, no more.
Many years ago, decades ago, back when I was in my 20s, I was trying to make a really big decision. I had pursue a new job, and so it would involve moving away from where I was. I was living in Charlotte, North Carolina at the time, and working for the biggest radio stations there. I worked for WBT and WBCY. I say that because many of you may know of John Boy and Billy. I worked with them for many years. Jeff Wicker, H.A. Thompson, Don Russell. Anyway, these were names who ultimately went on to somewhat fame in big markets and being syndicated into other markets. And I worked there, and I had an opportunity to go and manage a radio station. I was 25 years old, and I was going to be presented with this opportunity to put this radio station on the air. It had never actually been on the air. We had found a license and were able to put this radio station on the air. So it meant me leaving Charlotte, making way more money than I had ever made in my life, and moving down and actually living with my mother and then commuting an hour every day. Big decision. So it doesn't seem like it now. Now I'm like, stay in Charlotte. Don't do it. Anyway, I went to see someone who was a spiritual guide. Not exactly someone who is a future reader, but more someone who feels your energy and helps you make decisions. And I sat there and I remember talking to this woman, and I was in my mid-20s. I was about my daughter's age, and thinking, oh, this is such a huge decision. Oh my God, this is going to so impact my whole life one way or the other. Oh, blah, I just went on. And finally I said, how do I know what God wants me to do? And she said, now this is just her. She said, the universe doesn't care what you do. And I said, what do you mean? The universe doesn't care what I do? She says, if you believe that the universe or that God or whatever has a plan for you, or that ultimately you are moving along a path that is your path, that if you step off the path for a bit, you're going to get a chance to come back. It's not forever. And she was right. I ended up taking the job, and then 2.5 years later, I moved to Seattle and ended up working for an even bigger radio station, making more money. So, and by the way, if I had not taken that other job, it would not have worked out, because it gave me general manager on my resume, which got me this job in Seattle. So I made the right decision. Didn't seem like it at the time, didn't seem like it for a couple of years, but for the long term, made the right decision. So I want to talk with you about some things that I've learned over the years about decision making, and about the importance of not just asking other people. That's one of the main things that we do. But I've made some notes here I want to share with you this morning. Just a few things, because we all have decisions that we need to make, and we are the sum total of the decisions that we have made. So how do you make decisions that improve your life? Well, first of all, I would suggest writing out options. That's an extremely important thing. Most of us don't do that. We sit there and we say, for example, my daughter and her husband, as I said earlier, just bought a new home. One of the things that I convince them to do, because I'm such a nut about this kind of thing, is to write out everything you're looking for in a home. That way, if it's in the wrong school district, you don't even go and look at the house. Or if you walk in and you've decided you want tile floors and there's carpet and you don't want to put in tile, you simply turn around and you walk out. We end up getting what we don't want in life because we rarely sit down and make a decision as to what we do want, writing it out. And sometimes the best thing to do is to write it out with no outcome in mind. Here's what I mean. If you're thinking about a new car, don't sit down and write out the different types of cars. Write down what you want in your ideal car. 2 doors, 4 doors, color, style, etc. Write out and be very, very clear. Now, your ego is going to go, this is a waste of time. What a pain in the neck. you're not going to find what you're looking for. We both know that. Why don't we just settle now and get the beige Honda, and that'll be our car, or whatever. Nothing wrong with beige Hondas. I think I actually had one. Anyway, we want to write things out that we actually are looking for. And then the other thing we want to do is we want to weight them. This is worth its weight in gold. I learned this from my good friend Roger Dawson, who wrote the book, The Secret of Power Negotiating. And he talked about how when people make decisions, they can do the Ben Franklin thing. You know what the Ben Franklin thing is, right? Ben Franklin would get people to make decisions by writing 2 columns, for and against, and then he would invite people to write out why they were for doing a course of action and against it. That's a very good idea, and I encourage you to do that. However, what's more important is that the things that you are for, the things that you are looking for, the things that you're wanting, you need to give them a weight because they're not all equal. For example, I love my convertible. I have a convertible. I've had it for, good gosh, forever. Decades. And I know that I want my next car to be a convertible. Therefore, when I write down what I'm looking for in a car, fuel efficiency will be important, style will be important. However, convertible first, it's a thing. So that's a 10 on a 1 to 10 scale. Whereas the fact that, I don't know, it has Bluetooth, okay, let's say, which I'm sure all cars do now. My old car doesn't. But I'll put that down, but maybe that's a 4 on a 10 scale. So when I go and look at a car, I would say, okay, well, it doesn't have this, which is really important to me, but it does have this, which is a bunch of these little things, which are moderately important. And we end up making a decision based on the moderately important things instead of the really big things. So when you've got a choice to make, write out your options between the choices and then weigh them. I noticed someone here was talking about where to move. Write out the pros and the cons and weigh them. One of the things that I did not really weigh when I moved here to Key Largo, I thought, it's going to be so nice to go down and live on an island. It's going to be so nice to not have a lot of people, to not live in a big, busy city and all this kind of thing. And I got down here, and what I discovered is it's exactly what I thought it was going to be. And that is that it's quiet down here, but there's not a lot to do. Luckily, I'm just 40 minutes from Miami, so I can just drive right up to Miami, which has everything. But still, you want to write down what's important to you, and you want to give it weight. All right? The other thing that you want to do when you're making a choice is search out reviews. Now, it sounds silly for me to have to say this, but there are a lot of people out there who don't do this, and it has never been easier to get reviews on businesses and organizations than it is today. And we need to read them. I noticed the other day, I've told you all about the experience that I had with the dry cleaner here. They got my shirts and then they closed during the pandemic. Then they reopened and I went there 3 times and they said they'll be ready in 15 minutes. I was like, this is crazy. And I finally said, just give me my shirts. And then they charged me for them. They were going to hold them hostage. So I wrote a review on that and it's gotten over 100 views. Over 100 people have looked. Now, I wasn't trying to hurt these people. I just wanted someone to have warned me. I would have wanted someone before I went. And what was interesting was when I posted my 1-star review, I realized that these people had tons of 1-star reviews. And had I checked them in the first place, I never would have had this issue. So, want to be very clear. You want to weight what you're looking for. In other words, give various options weight, what's important. And you also want to read reviews and see what other people have to say. But the most important thing is to ask yourself for your guidance, to get quiet, to get still, to not imagine if you follow one course of action or the other, but to simply be with the decision and to say to yourself, what is best and highest for me and for the people I love? What is best and highest for me and the people I love? Then you make a decision based on what feels right to you. A lot of times, you'll sit down and you'll write out all the numbers. I've done that before. I've written out the numbers and said, okay, this is what I'm looking for, been very, very clear about what it is I'm looking for. And then I'll feel guided to make a different decision, and the outcome will be what I kind of thought it might be if I followed that course of action. And yet that's where I pick up something amazing in my life. I used to play video games a lot. I don't anymore. I just haven't found anything I like, and most of them are pretty violent. I know there's some fun ones out there, but I've got other things to do. But in video games, you're often going off on this path or that path, and you pick up a weapon or a token or a resource or something like that. Sometimes when you make the decision that you think was the wrong decision, it turns out to give you the greatest resources, the greatest tokens. And then, as I said at the beginning, it's rarely a forever thing. It's rarely a forever thing. Julian Hardy goes, The Big Show. Yep, John Boy and Billy. That's exactly right. So remember, as you're making choices, don't just fall into your habitual way of making choices. Maybe asking other people or just, whatever. Actually spend some time, create a new habit pattern of defining what you want, weighing out what you're looking for so that you get what you're looking for in the way that you're wanting it. In other words, not only write down what you're looking for, but give weight to the various things that are important to you. And then make sure that you ask your highest self, trust your guidance. That's the key. All right, everybody, I'm going to check in with everybody. If anybody have any more comments or questions before we say goodbye, our meditation group is going to be meditating in 9 minutes. Paula Drake says she wants to find a job. We talked about that. A big choice I'm making is virtual accounting. I get it. I need to choose which warm state to move to in 4 years. I personally like it here. I've lived here almost a year now. Good morning, says Daniel, and I'm wearing shorts, as I always do. Paula Drake says, great idea. Thank you. A big choice making is to savor the process because it's part of the journey. That's very true. That is very true, Jerome. Kathy Cruz says, this is so helpful. Thank you. My honor. It's funny. I made this decision to share with you on making better choices today. And then over the weekend, I had this conversation with my brother, and I thought, wow, we're all looking for help in making choices. So make good choices today because you are the sum total of your choices. And like I said, one of the best choices you can make is to check out our complaint-free meditation program. We cut the price in half. If you lock it in, it stays there. At $25 a month, you get to meditate with me live every single day, or come back and meditate, or come back and meditate whenever it works best for you. So check it out, complaintfreemeditation.com, and enjoy today. Make a choice that you're going to enjoy today, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye, everybody.
No more complaining people. Their lives are changing. We're flying high, creating a complaint-free world. No more